Yep, we'll check into that later on this morning. And after the pandemic hit and people began losing jobs, many couples decided to start a business together. But unfortunately, couples often find that although they are madly in love, working together is something completely different, and it certainly can impact a relationship.
Yeah, it would scare me to death. Joining us live by Zoom to talk about this timely topic and share his personal story is Steve Siebold, a certified financial educator and author of the new book, How Money Works. We welcome him to Virginia this morning. Steve, I would see, we have different views on this because Jess actually works with her husband, although I'd say she kind of works with him. And but if you're in a business together,
okay, different.
One-on-one right there all the time. How in the world is that going to work?
Let's ask Steve.
Well, let's ask Steve.
Well, the first rule is you can't kill each other. You got to make that rule right up front. Try not to kill each other. Nobody dies.
Business partners stay alive and breathing. Okay.
Exactly.
So how do we accomplish that?
Well, one of the things that we talk about is setting boundaries. You know, where does the business stop and the relationship begin? If you can make that really clear, that's a good start, kind of a framework for getting started together in business.
All right, so, yeah, and I would imagine, do you do that physically sit down at a table and say, okay, we're going to not do this here and we're going to do that there, or is that just kind of evolve as you go along?
Probably both.
No, I think it's a really good idea to do that, to set the rules up front, because once the relationship and the business begins to bleed over into each other, it becomes very difficult. And then when if things are tight money wise, or there's problem with clients or whatever the issue is, it can start to become kind of a blame game, and all of a sudden everything's blending together and you've got a lot of issues as a couple. So you try to avoid that.
Steve, as I'm looking through some of the tips that you've shared with us, these in general look like they would be really effective for every working relationship. But you've said set boundaries, and another one, compartmentalize your emotions. This is probably pretty key.
Yeah, exactly. Especially so if you're irritated with your partner and during the business day, compartmentalize that and keep it in the business day. And if it's the end of the day and you're irritated, turn it off, compartmentalize it, put it in an airtight psychological box, if you will, and bring it up the next day. But don't bring it up at nighttime when you're supposed to just be a couple together.
Yeah.
This sounds like the plot line for a situation comedy. It really does. They had a rough day at work, but at home they're fine. So fight fair is part of that, and that's actually for both work and for your relationship, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't bring up, the past, just like any other, exactly like you're saying. It's just traditional relationship advice at the end of the day. But when it comes to blending the two together, in other words, blending your life together as business partners and spouses, let's say, or cohabitants, whatever, you've got to be really careful about fighting fair, to not bring up the past, not bring up business fights and put them inject them into your relationship and things like that. So you've really got to be cognizant of these things and be more formal about it if you're going to succeed.
Steve, you also suggest pick your battles, and I think this goes in that same vein as fight fair. Pick your battles and know when it's important to work through these things that are high level.
Yeah, let the little things go, because in business we all screw up. We all make bad decisions sometimes, and especially if it's just you and your partner in the business, and there's just the two of you or maybe a few employees, you're going to make mistakes because you make so many decisions together in a small business that you're bound to make mistakes just by percentage. So let the little things go and know that your mistake is coming. So you might want to leave out the criticism parts.
Ooh, let the little things go and know your mistake is coming. That's a good one.
All right, and there is an advantage to this. So take that and run with it is the last piece of advice.
Yeah, I mean, you're in business now with the person you trust with your life, the person you trust more than anyone in the world, which is about as good a strategic business advantage as you can get. Trust is always the thing with business partners, and oftentimes it's broken. But with a spouse or a partner, you just can't miss. That's why I think it's worth doing. It can be very enjoyable. It can be very successful, and your partner always has your back.
Steve, for so many folks watching right now who still may be considering taking this leap with their life partner, their spouse or they're just partner in life. You are a certified financial educator, author of the book How Money Works. You and your wife have worked together for the last 30 years. So you're speaking from a serious place of expertise. How was it like, what was it like for you and your wife to embark on this partnership, this career partnership?
Well, we almost killed each other probably 40 or 50 times over the last 30 years. It's been very close. She's threatened to bury me in the backyard half a dozen times probably. And so if I end up being missing sometime, you'll know where I'm at. Just check my backyard here in Atlanta. But no, we've worked through the issues over the years. We still have issues, and we actually started a podcast to talk about this because we get so many questions about it, and kind of talking about the differences and how it's different than being in business with your spouse. But we've been very fortunate in terms of getting along and sort of separating our personal life with our business life.
Wow.
With so many questions, what's the number one nugget that you share in terms of working through those battles?
Patience with one another and with yourself. Because again, there are so many different things that happen in business. Now, then you turn the business off at whatever time, and then you deal with the kids and the house and all the rest of the the relationship things. And so there's a lot going on. So I think you have to be really patient with yourself and with one another.
Great insight.
Great stuff, Steve. Thank you so much for this. I'm still like, I don't know.
Shaking in your boots?
Yeah, no. I'm thinking there are some people that this is a no, don't even try that.
Well,
And I'm in that category.
that's Steve's next book. In the meantime, great talking with you, Steve. How Money Works, currently available. And for more information, we'll have a link on our show website later today, virginiathismorning.com. We appreciate your insight, Steve. Interesting conversation.
Yeah, it's interesting to me is that I don't know if you know